I'm Arthur de Haast, and I'm an international director of Jones Lang LaSalle and chairman of Jones Lang LaSalle Hotels. So I've been now with Jones Lang LaSalle just over 25 years, and one of the reasons I've been with the company so long is I was given so many opportunities to develop my career while I was with the company. So I started out primarily UK focused, although working for UK companies, some of whom had real estate assets outside the UK. And then I was given the opportunity in the early 90s to start developing our business in continental Europe, focusing initially on the Benelux, originally from the Netherlands, so I could do work in the Netherlands and Belgium, and then established our business in Germany in the mid-1990s, and then came back to the UK towards the end of the 90s when I was appointed the CEO of our European hotels business at that time. In 1999, we merged with LaSalle Partners, which was a US publicly quoted company. So we moved from being a UK partnership to become a publicly quoted US company, which was a huge transition, required a lot of adjustment and understanding the requirements of being a publicly quoted company, and the additional disciplines and focus that brought to managing finance and so on. And then following that, in 2003, I was appointed the global CEO of our hotels division, and I had a very interesting time growing our business globally from 2003 through until the late 2000s. Very focused on rapid growth. We ended up operating in out of 40 offices, more than 40 offices in 27 countries around the world. The main area of our business is advising investors who acquire hotels on where they should invest, how they should invest, their strategy once they have invested, why the hotel industry is a good place for them to invest, etc. So most of our clients are large international investors, insurance companies, pension funds, large private equity companies, and also ultra high net worth individuals who buy trophy hotels. So that's taken me all over the world, and as I say, I built up the team from a very small operation, 50-60 people, to over 300, transacting and advising on about over $10 billion of investments per annum. Then, of course, the global financial crisis hit during 2008, and had a very challenging time in the latter part of 2008, 2009, managing a business which was facing big change as a result of the significant changes in the global financial landscape and the ability to raise finance, particularly debt finance, for hotel investment. So we had to make some very difficult decisions about the shape and size of our business during that period, resulting in us having to downscale the business, which was obviously very, very difficult, having worked hard to build it up and been very created a fantastic team of people. So that was extremely challenging. But by 2010, we had managed to stabilize the business again, got back into sort of growth phase, and through 2011. And then at that point, I felt it was time that we should have new leadership to take the business forward. And I stepped down from the day-to-day management of the business and took up my present role in January of this year as chairman of the group. And I also now chair a number of other areas of our business, but still have a passion and a keen interest in the hotels business. Jones Lang LaSalle Hotels is the specialist division of Jones Lang LaSalle, which is one of the world's leading real estate services company. We basically advise the owners and also the occupiers of real estate all over the world. And the hotels, Jones Lang LaSalle Hotels, is the division that specializes in advising owners and occupiers of hotel real estate. So our main activity is attracting investors to invest in
hotel real estate. So either new hotel developments or existing hotels where the existing owner, for whatever reason, multiple reasons why they wish to exit a particular investment. So we will work with them to achieve that exit and seek to find new sources of capital, both equity and debt, to achieve that exit. We tend to focus on larger internationally branded hotels, so that's your Hiltons, your Intercontinentals, Marriott hotels, etc. And most of our clients are large institutional investors, so that's insurance companies, pension funds, the very large private equity funds that have been established in the last couple of decades, and also ultra high net worth individuals who, having perhaps been successful in other areas of business, fancy owning hotels. We find that that's quite a strong area for investment, that people from the Middle East and Asia in particular like to own trophy hotels in key gateway cities of Europe and North America. So we advise them on investment strategies, operators who to select to operate and manage their hotel, how to finance it. We also asset manage those hotels on their behalf. So once they've made the investment, although the brand and manager will run the hotel on a day-to-day basis, we will advise the owner on the strategy for the hotel, the longer-term strategy, in particular a new investment into the hotel. Maybe that's a refurbishment or an extension or a refinancing of the hotel. So all those sort of aspects of the financing and ownership of real estate. And also we have a strong advisory business which undertakes valuations for banks and for balance sheet purposes when companies want to raise money or whatever, go through a merger or acquisition and so on. They generally require a valuation of all the assets of the company, so we will do valuations. We do strategic studies for new hotels, new hotel developments, particularly in emerging markets like Brazil, China, India, and the Middle East. So we're very busy in those areas. For new hotel developments, we will go out and raise finance for those. We'll also find a potential operator, brand manager for the hotel. And negotiate the contract with that operator on behalf of the owner. So we provide a very broad range of services, but it's all to do with owning and operating real estate. Multiple trends. I guess in some markets we're seeing a strong emergence of budget hotels, particularly here in the UK and also in markets like Germany. So the more mature, established markets, the budget hotel segment seems to be doing well, and investors are keen to enter that segment. We are seeing in some of the emerging markets a strong trend around mixed-use projects, so large-scale developments where you probably have retail at the lower part of them. So you have a podium, maybe 2 or 3 levels of retail, and then you'll have 2, 3, 4 towers, one of which might be a hotel, one of which might be serviced apartments or residential, 1 or 2 might be offices. So that's the trend in markets like India and China, where land is available and they can do these large-scale developments. So a very strong move towards mixed use, and therefore looking at the real estate in a much more holistic way rather than just purely this is a hotel, this is an office building, this is a residential development. So it's all in one, which makes understanding it and working on the feasibility of it and so on much more complex, requiring a much more strategic approach to the whole development. So that's another strong trend we're seeing, particularly in the emerging markets. Another trend we're seeing is the way that the brands and the operating companies are evolving, and the importance of brands and which brands are
successful and resonating with the customer, and therefore driving business into the hotel, and therefore the whole issue around distribution, brand management, who owns the client in terms of, is it the brand, is it the hotel owner, and so on. So that whole aspect of driving value for the customer, and ultimately therefore for the owner and investor in the hotel real estate. So that's another area that we're having to pay a lot more attention to as well. I perceive two challenges. One, for the wide industry as a whole, the hospitality sector as a whole, which is all around people. How do we attract talent to the hospitality sector? And I think that challenge is for everybody, whether you're running a small restaurant or pub, right through to running a very big internationally branded hotel, and whether that be in London, Beijing, Sao Paulo, New York. Everybody is facing that same challenge. Talent is scarce. There's often a lot of people, but in many cases they haven't got the right skills to work in the sector, or perceive other sectors to be more attractive because of remuneration, because of lifestyle, because of career prospects. So attracting talent and managing that talent and retaining that talent within the hospitality sector, I think, is the single biggest challenge that faces anybody who's involved in the hotel and hospitality sector at the present time, whether you're a brand manager or an investor or as I said, a small business person running a restaurant or a bar. From our perspective, sort of narrowing it in a bit more, it's all about how we attract capital to the hospitality sector. And of course, investors have a huge choice of where to put their money. They can keep it in cash in the bank, they can invest in bonds, corporate bonds, sovereign bonds, government bonds, they can invest in equities, they can invest in private companies, manufacturing companies, and so on, and they can invest in all types of real estate. So they can invest in residential, offices, industrial, retail. So hotels and the hospitality sector is competing for that capital. And again, we have to demonstrate to investors that the hospitality sector is a good place to put their money. Otherwise, we will not attract the investment. And that's, again, a big challenge for the industry. If we don't manage the businesses successfully and show a return to investors, they'll take their money elsewhere, and therefore the growth of the industry will slow. And although increasingly people like to travel, and traveling on business, traveling for pleasure, are still strong growth areas, and with a huge growing middle class in many markets around the world, the outlook is very positive long term. But in order to match that growth and the opportunities that that's going to provide for our industry, we have to have the talent to run the businesses and to work in the hotels and restaurants and bars, and we have to attract the capital. And both of those are quite challenging at the present time, and need a lot more focus and attention from the industry if we're going to continue to be successful. Yes, the issue I've talked about is retaining talent, attracting talent to the hospitality industry. I think that's the biggest challenge facing us at the moment. I'm a member of the Institute of Hospitality. The Institute is all about promoting professionalism in the hospitality industry, about training people, about giving them a good education in hospitality. A lot of people enter the hospitality industry, let's say, informally. They start casual job while they're still at school, university, working in a bar or whatever, and kind of fall into the industry, not really as a career choice. And the Institute is all about encouraging those people to, as part of their career development, to build up their skills, to take our various courses to get formal qualifications in the hospitality sector. And I think that that's something that's very important for the long-term future of the industry. I'm quite passionate about that, and I'm very proud to be a member of the Institute. I'm a fellow of the Institute. I'm also sit on there on the Executive Council. I'm a trustee. It's a charitable organisation, and I think that that's one way of ensuring the long-term viability of the hospitality industry. Well, first and foremost, I think is a passion for hospitality. I think that that's been one of the key things that's helped me throughout my career, is that I've got up every day to go to work thinking I'm excited about what I'm doing, I'm interested in what I'm doing, I'm passionate about what I'm doing. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, a total focus on your customer. At the end of the day, the only reason that you will get paid for whatever you do, whether it's working in a bar, whether it's working in a five-star hotel, whether it's working like I do to advise global investors on investing in the hospitality sector. If you're not providing value and good service to your customers, they won't pay you for that service, and therefore you will be out of business or you won't have a job. So having a passion for your customer, looking after your customer, always putting your customer first is absolutely fundamental to a successful career. What do I do when I go on holiday? Usually try and avoid staying in hotels because I spend a huge amount of my time traveling. I spend something like 150 nights a year in hotels, usually large business hotels, internationally branded hotels. So I like to get away from it, and my real interest is, I was born and brought up in Africa, as I mentioned earlier, so going back to Africa and going on safari in a very basic way, so that's staying in a tented camp, or ideally a mobile camp that moves around, and getting very close to animals, beautiful nights that you have out there, the stars that you can see because there's no light pollution, watching the animals come to the water holes to drink, grazing, so going on walking safaris, horse riding safaris, which is something that my family enjoy, my wife and daughter in particular. So getting away from it into a very different environment from what I normally experience, staying, as I say, in big hotels, rushing from one airport to another, jumping in and out of taxis in big cities and so on. So that's my ideal way of relaxing.